Hey everyone, this is Dr. Ryan at Primal Chiropractic, and in today's video we're going to be breaking the squat down in very thorough detail. We're doing this because a lot of people that have hip or even low back pain, knee pain, and ankle pain, if you're not performing your squat with really good form, this can lead to a lot of wear and tear and eventually lead to pain and discomfort. So hopefully by the end of today's video, you'll have a good understanding of how to squat properly and understand if you need to seek medical treatment to improve any joint mobility or joint stability. We're going to start from the ground up. So one of the most important cues for performing a great squat is loading the tripod of the foot. If you've never heard of the tripod of the foot, there's 3 points where we want equal weight contact, one being the heel, the first joint, and the fifth joint of the ball of the foot. So when we are in our squat, typically we're feet shoulder width apart. Just remember, the wider you go with your squat stance, you're going to need to rotate the feet out in order to create a healthy hip joint. We want to make sure that we're loading that tripod of the foot all the way down and all the way up. Some problems we can run into is if we are too much on the heels. Typically what will happen is when there's too much pressure on the back, we have to counter that, and our torso is going to fly forward, which is not good for some of the joints. Vice versa, if we're too much on the ball of the foot and we go down, our torso is going to be really upright and vertical, shooting our knees really far forward. Our heels can pop up, and this can create a lot of knee pain. Other cases where we're going inside and outside, if we don't have good ankle or hip range of motion, what will happen at a certain point is our knees can crash in. Again, the tripod of the foot is gone. Knee pain can happen here. So usually for a very healthy squat, we need 120 degrees of ankle, what's called dorsiflexion, this movement going up, and hip, 120 degrees of hip flexion. So if you're limited in either of these areas, what can typically happen at the ankle joint or hip joint is we run out of space, and since we can't move in this plane, what's called the sagittal plane, forward and backward, we're either going to shoot in or shoot out, which can lead to degeneration and wear and tear. So that is going to be our first step, is load the tripod of the foot correctly. Talking about the knees, when we go down into our squat, as we descend down, we want to have our knees moving forward the whole entire way we move down, and then as we come up, the knees will move slightly back. So again, one more time, as I go down, knees are moving forward. At the bottom, they'll move back as we come up. Now, a problem with the knees that we'll sometimes do in our evaluation is we'll actually notice that one of the knees stops moving forward and sometimes we'll move back. So an example of that is I'll show you on my right side. As we go down, one of the knees can rock back, and that can be a sign, again, of a limitation in the hip, knee, or ankle joints on that side. So that is breaking the knees down. We want to make sure that the kneecap, the center of the kneecap, stays in alignment with the second or third toe all the way down and all the way up. There's no crashing in. We also don't want to overcompensate and shoot the knees out too far. When it comes to our torso, at the bottom of the squat, we want our torso angle pretty close to parallel to our shin bone here. Deep squatting is very healthy when it's not loaded with extra weight. However, if you're using a heavy barbell or a heavy dumbbell or kettlebell, we want to stay in the neutral plane as much as possible, meaning not over rounding at the back. However, at a certain point in a body weight squat, our low back will kind of scoop. We call this a butt wink. And at the bottom here, we want our, again, torso angle pretty close to parallel with the shin bone there. Again, problems that you can see is people that are leaning back too far, they have this over-rounded position with their spine. And again, if we're not loading the tripod of the foot, we can stay too upright, and it's going to mess up those parallel lines there. So, review this squat pattern technique. If you have any questions or you feel that you can't correct some of the cues that we're discussing, let us know and we can set up an appointment for you and make sure that your squat pattern is looking nice and clean.